Welcome to the Homeschool Together podcast. Where one working mom and a stay-at-home dad help you navigate the nuts and bolts of the growing and dynamic world of homeschooling.
With a focus on early learners, like me.
All the ins and outs of building and maintaining your homeschool life.
Homeschool.
Find out tips and tricks to make things like this easier.
I'm reading.
And ultimately, enjoy educating your kids. And what's that last thing?
Have fun together. Did I do good, Daddy?
Yeah, you did, sweetie. Good job. Hello and welcome to Homeschool Together, one of the hottest growing, fastest growing podcasts in the world. 10,000 downloads already.
We talked about that last time. We're pretty excited.
We're pretty excited. So today we're going to be talking.
We're growing some more.
We're growing so big, we may actually get ourselves a Roku channel. Maybe not. But today we're going to be talking a little bit about Roku and the beauty of Roku and how we use it in our homeschool. But before we begin, if you could head down in the show notes, see all the great resources that we have down there. Link yourself to our social media. Connect with us there. And also, at the very bottom, there's a link to a YouTube channel where I encourage everybody to go because Ariel is starting to make videos. She's making Trello videos.
It's like Matt's every dream has come true. He's been trying to push me to do YouTube stuff for a long time.
Oh, for so long, guys. I can't tell you. I have one of the best screen capture tools out there. So cool, so convenient. I was like, sweetie, you need to start making YouTube videos. The people are clamoring for it. It's like World War Z. They're climbing up the mountain, they're climbing up the giant wall.
Right.
And they're
for my Trello tips. But that's what's on there. It's
Trello's so lit these days.
If you listened back to our episode, I want to say it's 38, we talked a lot about Trello and how we use that for homeschool planning. It's just a really terrific free tool that you can do so much with. It's so flexible and it's all online. And so I did a bunch of videos. I did one where I just kind of went into the basics of like how we would plan our week, how we use Trello. You can hear a lot more in the episode, but that's just kind of a visual. And then I did a bunch of really short videos on some specific kind of advanced topics and things about how to link cards together and how to bring in book covers to cards easily and integrate Excel and just some different cool things. So I can
hear their ears watering already, mouth watering goodness there. And we're actually thinking about, I don't know if we want to say it, but you were thinking about doing some book reviews. Maybe doing a little bit of unboxings. We're trying to get ourselves a nice little kind of studio presence to see if we can do something where you actually might be able to see my beautiful hands and Ariel's beautiful face on YouTube.
That sounded weird. Look, no. Matt is thinking he's going to do some of the unboxings, and that's why you'll see his hands. I'm thinking about doing the reviews, which is why you'd see my face. It sounded weird when you said it. It sounded weird.
No, it's like in Zoolander where I have the $1 million hands, right?
Yeah, I don't know. It sounded slightly strange, but that's what we meant by that. No, okay.
That whole line was fully intended. That was by design.
Okay.
That was by design.
I gotta not question you.
Yeah, it's like Apollo's arrow, straight on through. No big deal. Anyway, so today we're going to be talking about Roku. What is Roku? People may have heard about it. People may have seen it. You may have heard of some of the other competitors that are out there for Roku. And we have tried, I think, all three of the big competitors for it. And we have settled on Roku being the thing that we focus all of our entertainment around.
All of our media.
All of our media is around it, yeah.
This was part of our Facebook group. We did a poll a while back to see what, technology parts of homeschool that folks really wanted to learn about. Trello was the first one we did, and then how to integrate YouTube into your homeschool, so you can check out that episode. And now we're getting to the granddaddy of them all.
Roku. The thing that we use probably on a daily basis. When it comes
think it's
to
the thing we use the most, right? Because it pulls everything together.
It does, and it's such a beautiful
package. So,
what is Roku? The best way to describe it is probably compared to some of its other, kind of kissing cousins. The Amazon Fire Stick and the Chromecast, the Google Chromecast are
Right. I
probably
would
things you
say
probably have heard about.
it's like it's a streaming media aggregator, is I guess what I would say, right? So it's a platform that you can bring in various different types of content, and it's like their apps like you'd have on your phone. So you,
It kind of turns basically, it comes in one of two forms. If you get a Roku, it comes in one of two forms. It comes in a stick-based format, which is something that you plug into a wall, that plugs into the stick, that then plugs into your TV.
to a USB port.
No,
Sorry,
the HDMI
HDMI.
port. And what
Yeah.
it does is it connects to the Wi-Fi, and it has onboard, it has some built-in kind of an operating system that you can install channels and apps, and we'll go through a number of the things.
Yeah, it's super easy. You just you search and you type so you type YouTube, and then boom, the YouTube channel gets loaded on. It's real simple.
So the first thing you might see is a stick, and those are the most common that you're seeing. But now Roku is partnering with a number of TV manufacturers, and so there are a number of TV manufacturers that are saying
TCL maybe is.
There's a few that are using Roku as the centerpiece of their quote unquote smart TVs. I mean, if everybody remembers, maybe about 10 years ago, we started to see smart TVs with things that were kind of built into a television, kind of making the television kind of a computer, but not like a full-on Windows computer. They kind of do these like weird hybrid kind of
and they're usually
mobile,
pretty clunky. And that's the thing. We first started out in this, we tried to cut the cord years ago. We were like, we were paying for cable only so that Matt can watch college football, and we're like,
yes,
we need to cut the cord in the rest of the year that's not college football time. We don't want to have to pay for cable, so we started experimenting. The first one we experimented with was Google Chromecast, which its kind of big claim to fame is that something on your phone or your iPad or something you can then cast to your TV screen. So, okay, I'm watching YouTube, and then I'm gonna send it to my TV screen, or I'm looking at my browser at a web page, and I can cast it to my TV screen. So that was kind of that. So it was good as a concept. It was a bit clunky, and it didn't always work real well.
Yeah, we got one of the first versions, and we had a connectivity problem, and connecting either YouTube or our phones to the device. It was kind of
spotty.
And I think the problem was is that we run a lot of this stuff through iOS apps and iOS phones, Apple phones. And Google Chromecast is probably more married better with an Android phone.
Right.
And all the features around that. So we settled on Roku, and Roku was the one that we felt was the best. We also had a Fire Stick, which is the Amazon one.
And that one, I didn't care for. One of the things I didn't like about it was that because it was proprietary, right? So the problem we had with kind of Chromecast didn't really work exactly that way, but Fire Stick, at least, they weren't going to support some of the apps because they were like, oh, no.
It was very Amazon. It was very Amazon Garden.
Yeah, this is competitive with something else, and so it was. And there was a lot of ads and things. I was trying to get you to rent or buy things from Amazon. So it was like, oh man, I'm just.
That's one of the downsides, I think, to Amazon Prime in general, and Prime being kind of that, an offshoot of the Fire Stick. So when you go through the Fire Stick, you're kind of in the Prime environment. Mm-hmm. And one of my issues with the Prime environment is that you pay the money, you're getting this, you get free shipping, but then you also get music and this kind of streaming entertainment, with movies and shows. And that's kind of an afterthought for like what you get for the Prime membership.
I think it's coming into its own.
Yeah, it is. Obviously, I mean, they're dumping money into content. They're going to have the Lord of the Rings and the Wheel of Time series. Right. And I mean, they're definitely doing
The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. They're
which I love.
They're doing, a lot of good content, and obviously they're making really good movies and stuff like that, but from the standpoint of like when you're going through their platform, they are still Amazon, and Amazon is trying to sell you something. And a lot of the the movies that are being shown there, whether it's renting or whether it's buying, it's hard to tell what is buying, what's not. So you get really excited to go, oh, I get to watch this, and then you click on it and you go, oh, rented for $9.99.
Right, and it's super dangerous with kids, right? That's one of the things I love about Netflix. I mean, obviously you have to be careful, and Netflix has a regular, everything, and then a kids version. But you can password protect the adult version, but I like that for the kids, right? Our daughter could pick anything, and we know it's going to be made for children, and it's not going to cost us something. So, Prime, I felt like was like landmines.
Yeah, so we're Chromecast, we had kind of like performance problems we saw, really spotty on the connectivity, but that might have been an earlier 1.0 type of thing. And where Amazon Fire Stick kind of had this issue of wanting to sell you stuff all the time.
And I think the other competitor was Apple TV, which
Apple
we
TV.
never had,
We
but
never.
also was a big proprietary issue about
again,
didn't have some apps you would want, right? And so you had to kind of pick and choose. For a while there, we had to have like some stuff on Chromecast, some stuff on Fire Stick.
But also Apple runs into the same problem as Amazon, which is everything in their garden you have to pay for. And that's wasn't what we were looking for, right? You know, if we like something, we'll end up buying it. But for the most part, we like streaming services. We like, you know, playing the things that we enjoy. We like the YouTubes. We like all that type of stuff. So for us, we kind of got really disillusioned on those type of platforms, and we decided to play around with cutting the cord, and we played a little bit with YouTube TV before they jacked up the price. We got excited about it, and we're like, wow, this is really cool. But how do we connect this to
not
a TV,
YouTube, but YouTube TV,
where
which
you pay? It's like
different.
It's like cable service, but through YouTube.
Yeah,
and
it used to be cheap.
It used to be cheap. Yeah, and we were like, well, how are we going to connect this to our television if we don't have cable? And we were looking around, and we said, well, look at the Roku app. The Roku as being that kind of that bridge to give us YouTube TV. And what the great thing about Roku is that they're not there to sell you anything. They want to sell you the hardware, the $25 or $30 or whatever money they're getting from the TV manufacturer when they integrate their Roku into the television. But regardless of that, they're not there to sell you anything. They're just providing a streaming service. Once you pay for it, there's no service, there's no service plan, there's no recurring fees, there's nothing like that. And that's what I really love about it. You know, there's something to be said about paying for something and then not having to continue to pay for it. And
it's always irritating.
And I think that's, you know, I think a lot of us are waking up going, oh, we wanted to cut the cord. And then all of a sudden we realize we're paying like $300 in all of our streaming services, from music
it's a real problem.
to TV to streaming things. And we go, my God, now I'm paying like 3 times as much as I used to.
Yeah.
And so the last thing I would want to do is get another piece of hardware that I'm paying another streaming service for. So anyway, that being said, we got the Roku. And we got the little stick. We plugged it in, and we instantly fell in love with it. And you know, it's obviously we're not getting paid to. This is not an ad.
No, but we have two. We got your parents to buy a couple. At their house.
my mom. I think my mom has a couple that is actually integrated into the television, and she was also using the Amazon Fire. I think one of her TVs has the Fire built into it.
And she bought a Roku for that.
And then she bought a Roku for that because she didn't like the Fire interface. Yeah. And so. We've been converting a lot of people over to the Rokus and everything. So let's get into what, basically we've talked to, why we ended up settling on Roku and how we've gone through most of these options. One of the best things about Roku is you think about it like a phone, right? Where you have like a million apps, and they organize a lot of their stuff by channels. And there's like 5,000 channels, right?
Which is basically an app. They call it a channel, but they have YouTube and Netflix and things, and they're apps.
And in some respects, if you think of it like a channel, it is a TV channel, but it also is an app. It's kind of weird because it kind of is both, because we'll go through a number of channels that we enjoy, that we recommend. If you have a Roku stick, we recommend you to have these channels installed. But one of the channels is Netflix, which is like basically an entire streaming service right there. It's not just a channel, but then another one might be, PBS Kids. And that is literally like a TV station.
Right.
And so,
some of them have live content that goes on, and some of them only have things that you stream on demand when you want it. So there's a big mixture, but there's 5,000 different channels or apps that are on the Roku. So you're bound to find something you're interested in, even if it's very niche.
Yeah, exactly. And what's great about the Roku is the price. The first thing right out the bat, I think their entry-level product is $25. So, I mean, that's a nothing burger for entertainment hardware. I mean, for computers, TVs, and everything. That is a nothing burger. Throw away $25. I think they have like a premium one that's a little bit more expensive.
Yeah, they
it's
have
like
some.
$45
They have
or
some
something.
different ones that maybe like come with headphones that plug into the Roku remote. They have some different things, but the base version of it is
$25,
very serviceable,
and you can get it pretty much everywhere.
difference.
You can get it everywhere. You can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it at like Best Buy. You can get it at Walmart. You can get it anywhere.
You can get it anywhere. There's no difference in the channels that you can put on based on like the minimalist version to the highest version. I don't think that there's any actual difference in what you're allowed to install.
And we have 2 sticks in the house. One for up in our bonus room, which is kind of our homeschool room, and then also one downstairs on our big television. And so between those 2 TVs, we $50, we got 2 Roku sticks, and we've been super happy with it. So the first thing with the Roku is that they give you a home screen.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of it.
And we have been I know Ariel and I.
It seems silly now.
It seems silly now, but like 15
it was
years,
hard
15 years ago, we were looking at like the Windows Entertainment. They had like a networking software that kind of did like an entertainment setup. We've been looking for like an aggregator for years. And I mean, I'm sure that's where the genesis of Roku came from, where it's like, how can I get everything in one place?
Right.
We have all these things that we stream. How can I get it all in one place? And they're able to do it in such a simple,
so easy
way. It's just like a nice
Our
little
5-year-old can operate it with no problem.
no lie. Our 5-year-old can operate it. It's a simple, the remote is super simple. There's only like 8 buttons on the whole thing.
Yeah, it's tiny.
Super tiny. And basically you get a nice little home screen that has a grid array of all the items that you want to put in there. You don't get they give you kind of a couple default, but then you can install and uninstall, remove the ones you want. Yeah.
So I love, you can, if you only want to see 2 things, if you want to see YouTube and the Smithsonian Channel, like, and that's all you want to see, that's all you can see.
Exactly.
You don't have to, they do have like ads that come up, but they're advertisements for other channels for things that are free.
But they're on the side. They're not like, it's not a video ad or anything.
Right, and they're for things that are free. Like, watch this movie for free on the Roku channel. The Roku itself has its own channel, and they offer some free movies with ads and some things. So there will be some advertisements that come across, but they're not in your face.
Yeah.
They are free things.
And also the UI around it, like, and that's something goes to my heart with the software, my software background. The UI is very easy to use. It's very easy on the eyes. The colors, they have this great kind of scrolling screensaver that's really fun to, kind of pick out all the movies that are kind of embedded within the city.
Yeah, it's fun.
And it's really, really cool. It's so easy to use. It's so simple. Just, obviously we said our 5-year-old could use it. I love it. The other thing that we like about the Roku is that it's portable, right? So you can unplug it and you could take it to grandma's. You could take it on vacation, which we've done both cases here.
Right. It was great. We went to Disney a few years back with our older daughter.
And we took our Roku with us.
Yeah, we took it with us because we knew when we got done at the park for the day, she was going to be tired, but we would want something to be able to watch. And when you go to, like, we rented a condo, when you go to places like that, it's like, I mean, maybe they have a DVD player. You don't know what's going to be on, if there's going to be cable and what's going to be on there.
And what's great about the portability is that when you plug it in, your home screen is there. All your apps are there because it's all local. All your passwords are there. So all you got to do is log into the Wi-Fi and boom, everything's running, as opposed to having to log into your, Netflix account on some rando, TV, and then who knows what's going to happen there.
It's perfect, like in a hotel and things. As long as you're able to put in the Wi-Fi password, as long as you don't have to go through, like some hotels, you have to go through a portal on your computer and then put in the password. Like, as long as you don't have to do that. And every time we've like rented a house or a condo or something, it's been really easy. Yeah, the Roku is great to take with you.
Also, they have voice searching on the remote, so a real nice little button.
And that didn't used to work very well.
No, they've improved it.
It used to work awfully, and now this last couple months they did a software update.
Yeah, what's happened is that they've rolled out voice searching across the other apps. We'll go into a little bit more depth on like YouTube and stuff, but you weren't able to do a voice search on YouTube, so you're having to like manually enter in every single letter, and it just took forever. But now they've added voice search for other apps. They had it for the basic apps, and like I think the Roku side of the house, and maybe like I thought it worked for YouTube TV, but it didn't work for every app. Now it seems like it's working for every single app. So
you just hold down the little microphone on the remote and talk into the remote, and it pulls up
Daniel Tiger, blah blah blah, and boom, it types it in for you.
Yeah,
it's almost
easy.
It's almost bulletproof. I haven't had a lot of problems unless you get something really obscure. Really great voice recognition, really great search. So if you're just sitting on the couch and you want to search for something and you're in YouTube, boom, you could just hit the button, say, "Hey, give me this thing," and boom, it comes right up.
Yeah, super easy.
Next thing is what we call this baby. We can't wake up the baby mode.
Yeah.
So they also support an app on your phone,
which is great when you lose the remote.
When you lose, yes. So a double
which will happen inevitably.
So when the baby buries the remote like 7 cushions into the couch, and you haven't been able to find it for 3 days, you can install the Roku app on your Android and your iOS phone, and whatever the device is, so whether it's an iPad or an iPhone, whatever it is, and then you can control the TV from your phone, but also they have a great headphone option, which you have used a number of
it's
times.
Really great, especially when I want to watch something on the TV, like the kids are supposed to be sleeping, but I want to watch something maybe that's more adult or something,
like Bridgerton.
Yeah, or like a loud musical or something, and I don't want everyone to be hearing me watch The Greatest Showman. So I plug it into my phone.
But it wasn't just a headphone. You could do Bluetooth headphones to your phone, which is then picking up
Right.
the
So I was
audio.
able to. You could use Bluetooth headphones if you don't want to plug it into your phone, so that are connected to your phone, or you can just plug it into your phone. But it was a great option to be able to watch without bothering anybody else in the house. And it's really great when we really want our daughter to sit down. She wants to watch something, and the baby's sleeping, and we don't want to be too loud. So it's a great option. We've
It's a
used
cool
it a
little,
number of times.
a number of times. Like just when or maybe if you're in the same room or you're watching TV and your husband's trying to finish that great novel, and and Bridgerton must be played for the 12th time, and you want to keep it quiet or whatever, and you can do that. So that's a great option for you and your family. All right, so let's get into a few of our favorite channels. So obviously the first one, Ariel and I debated. We had great debates deep into the night on whether or not Disney Plus would survive or not.
And was it a thing we should really sign up for? Should we give in to the evil empire that we also love, which is Disney, and support their new streaming service? And of course, now it's like the one we would never get rid of now that we have it.
I fell on the hate side, but not for the evil corp element of Disney Plus, but because I'm a sports fan. I've been watching college football and everything. And the ESPN apps, which was going to be kind of the basis of a lot of their streaming service, were garbage, just absolute trash. And ESPN is owned by Disney. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, well, if they're going to produce something of that quality, it's going to be garbage and nobody's going to like it. Well, it turns out that they like a month or two later, we're subscribed and watching The Mandalorian. I'm like, wow, this app's really good. It was
a little clunky for
clunky for a few days, but they ironed it out real fast.
They did.
They must have paved over those software problems with $1 billion. I don't know what they did. They brought all their developers in.
Yeah, it works great. And what I love is it's fully integrated with National Geographic. So they continue to come out with terrific educational content.
Yes.
I mean, they've got obviously there's a lot of great kids shows, and there's a lot of learning shows and things that Disney has owned over the years, but we recommend it here for homeschool just because of the National Geographic.
Yeah, the Nat Geo stuff is amazing.
Integration. It's really great.
But it's slowly, increased on the hierarchy of our subscriptions. It sits in my book number 2 behind the YouTube subscription.
Behind YouTube Premium.
Behind YouTube Premium, Disney Plus now lives, eternally, and which means it leapfrogged for us Netflix.
We use it more than Netflix and Amazon Prime combined, I would say.
Now,
but so Disney Plus is great. They have a number of great, there's a lot of like Disney nature documentaries, and just some really, they tend to do some great animal based things. And then they got Nat Geo. You guys have been watching documentaries on Machu Picchu and a bunch of really great stuff. Our daughter is super into Egypt, and they have a lot of great documentaries on Egyptian artifacts and different stuff.
Really the reason why we're talking at great length about Disney Plus is that you get a channel that goes right into the Roku, right? So you don't need to, change your input to your TV's iOS settings to go into the, the Disney Plus app, that blah, 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 right? You don't have to do that. You just install the Disney Plus channel on your Roku, and boom, it's right there.
Well, and the new Rokus, because the bonus from Roku we bought is newer, actually has a Disney Plus button on it.
One of the buttons on the bottom of the
There's some quick buttons on the bottom.
So they'll have like Hulu, they'll have like Netflix, they'll have Disney Plus, and like ESPN or something like that, whatever it might be. And what it is these are quick launch buttons. So when the Roku's off, if you just hit the button, it powers up the Roku, turns on your television, launches the app, and it starts right up. So Disney Plus is kind of the number one thing that Roku supports that we like. The next is maybe we'll do as a tandem, obviously Netflix and Disney Prime.
Yeah, and Amazon Prime. There's some great there's some great documentaries on both. And there's some really great shows. We've talked previously about how much we love Emily's Wonder Lab on Netflix. There's also Magic School Bus on Amazon Prime, which always gives just great science information and is in a really fun format. So you'll find a few different PBS type shows that get onto Amazon Prime, but they both will have a wealth of family oriented documentaries and things. So I wish it was all in one place. I wish you could just go and you wouldn't have to go to the different places.
The fact that Roku supports the channels, and when you hit the home button, they're right there. Like
home, Disney Plus, and then say Lions, right? And it'll look and it doesn't really have anything. Okay, home, Amazon Prime, Lions. Okay, I've got something on documentary on Lions.
From our home screen, we can get the top 3 streaming services out there. Well, Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, and Netflix right there, right on the home
super
screen.
Easy.
Launches super quick. I can go from TV off and to be into Disney Plus or into Netflix or into Amazon Prime within a minute. And
Yeah, within 10 seconds.
within 10 seconds, yeah.
It's super
it's
fast.
super fast. So the next one, the one that actually we've been using, which is slowly rising up the charts, is PBS Kids.
Right, and PBS Kids is a free channel on Roku now. So ours is integrated with our local PBS station.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say on this one, your mileage may vary because depending on the funding that your local PBS station has, maybe they offer different things on the app. So ours doesn't have all of the PBS shows, but it has quite a few of them, and they're full episodes and they're free.
And PBS is the public broadcasting system,
Right.
So yeah, like BBC in England and
Yeah.
CBC in Canada.
In Canada. So, and it's got Wildcrats. If any of you are doing Torchlight, she usually calls out something for Wildcrats, especially in Torchlight Pre-K. There's just some really great episodes there. There are full-length episodes on PBS Kids.
Also, Daniel Tiger's on there.
Daniel Tiger, Curious George,
the
and
Dino Train that we've been getting into.
Yeah, Dinosaur Train that our daughter really likes.
Dino Train.
PBS Kids is great, right? They just have there's a bunch of Sesame Street on there. There's some full episodes, and then there's some clips and things.
Molly of Denali as well.
Molly of Denali, yep, that's the one that our daughter's recently discovered that she really loves. And if you're doing around the world studies and you're going to be studying Alaska or Native peoples, Molly of Denali is awesome. So there's some really good stuff on PBS Kids. It's totally free. But as I said, I don't know. Every time ours pops up, it comes up with our local PBS station.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if your content may vary depending on your location.
They do support like live TV option where you can watch what's on
And
live.
you can watch
and that
PBS,
might be
yeah.
where the variation comes in.
Yeah, that may be.
And then carrying on with the PBS thing is PBS documentaries. Specifically,
this is the PBS app. So there's a PBS Kids app, and then there is a separate regular PBS app.
Yeah, think of it like YouTube Kids or Netflix Kids. It's kind of, they have their own kids version and then they have their main version.
Right, but whereas like Netflix, you'd go in and you'd select either adult profile or kids profile. In this case for PBS, there's two separate channels. You have to install both. And so regular PBS is what we're talking about here. They have obviously PBS has got a wealth of great documentaries, but they have all of the Nova episodes.
Every Nova episode.
Ever come out. They've got tons of great Masterpiece is a terrific way to watch classic literature made into live action.
And then obviously Frontline, which can tend to be a little bit more, I think, maybe older kids.
Right. Yeah. Frontline is better for,
Frontline.
Political science type.
Kind of topical current events.
Events.
I know. I don't know if you still anymore, but yeah, I subscribe to the podcast and both the Nova and the Frontline podcasts as well. So great way to get the audio version of the same video documentary.
Right. You were just looking the other day. Nova had come out with
Planets.
A terrific, documentary series called Planets.
It's called Planets. I've heard it described as tear-inducing because it's so good. Like it's just the music and then the visuals.
Beautiful renderings of it. I think each episode's about different planets.
Yeah,
and so
all 8 planets. Let's stress that 8 planets.
Poor Pluto. So
poor Pluto.
Yeah, PBS is great. So lots and lots of great documentaries and docuseries on PBS.
Okay, let's get into it. YouTube.
Yeah, really just go back to our YouTube episode.
Yeah.
We gushed about YouTube. We do love it because there's not only can you learn anything, we watch a lot of how it's made on YouTube, right? Our daughter's very interested in how everything is made and the machinery behind it and the processes.
Yeah. She wants to see how things work.
But there's also tons of shorter form factor documentaries that are on YouTube from kind of independent filmmakers and things. So you can find a documentary on just about anything with YouTube, and the app is right there. It's easy to use, and you can voice search. So I think it's just terrific.
And we talked a little bit about, I think, in that podcast, but the ability to cast to the Roku is very smooth.
We'll talk about that a little bit in the future. Yeah, under our advanced topics.
Ooh, advanced topics. Okay, we'll talk about that. The next one is the Smithsonian Channel.
Yeah, so there's a bunch of free content on the Smithsonian Channel. There's some things that you need to pay for, but there is a lot of great stuff. They've got great documentaries. The Smithsonian's
very educational.
It's a gold standard.
The Smithsonian channel actually as well on YouTube is very good too. So you probably get a lot of crossover content there.
Yeah, there may definitely be.
And then NASA has its own channel as well.
Yeah, and NASA has got great stuff. So not only does it have live when there's a live event like a launch, but it's also got lots of archives. There's so much great STEM stuff on the NASA channel.
Or if you just want a live feed from the the ISS.
Yeah, the NASA channel, right? You can't
And
go wrong.
yeah. And then Curiosity Stream, which is documentaries and whatnot.
Right. So this one, it's 100% documentaries, and they're all mostly science and nature. So it's $3 a month or $12 a year for Curiosity Stream. So you can go online on curiositystream.com and look at the content that they have. If something interests you, then you can go ahead and sign up for it. I've heard really good things about it.
$1 a month's not bad. I pay $1 to Apple
It's
for
$3 a month.
Yeah, but 12 a year.
Yeah,
$1 a month,
that's
yeah.
right. Yeah, if you sign up for the whole year, yeah, it's $1 a month. I mean, you can't really go
I
too
get like
wrong.
300 gigs of storage on Apple for $1 a month. I don't even think about that.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of homeschoolers get a lot of value out of Curiosity Stream. So it's something, I think that they're adding more documentaries all the time. So if your family's big into documentaries, documentaries for us are one of those things that we don't like it to be like the main event. We're not all sitting down, let's watch a documentary, but it's really great to have on in the background. If your kids are doing an art project or, they're coloring or doing something else, playing a documentary, you'd be surprised how much your kids will pick up by listening to it in the background. And if you're one of those houses that you like to have noise on and things, it's a great way to do that without it just being cartoons.
Yeah, we've had a lot of that with Nat Geo. That's been really, just throwing on a documentary has been really nice.
Right, yeah. Even when we're just kind of moving around and doing dishes or making breakfast, the kids are playing and stuff. Sometimes it's nice to just throw on a documentary.
So the next one, TED. So the TED Talks, the famous TED Talks.
Yeah, lots of good stuff here. I would say this is also more geared towards older children.
Yeah.
But TED Talks range. They run the gamut from everything you can think of. There's a lot of them that are on YouTube as well, but they do have their own channel if you just want to browse through what they have to offer.
Yeah, they have the mainline TED Talks, which are pretty much always good.
And they talk a lot about science and technology.
Yeah,
too.
they do. They really do a lot of life science, social science, stuff like that. One of the things with TED Talks, you can kind of get off the weeds onto the TEDx Talks, which kind of are like local, almost like the extension TED Talks. Those may not be as good, but you can get a lot of really good information from those. There's been a couple out of like Olympia that they've had that have been really good. But yeah, the TED stuff has been fantastic. It's
very cutting edge usually.
Well, yeah, and there's always they always get kind of like these, I don't know, heterodox thinkers where they kind of think outside the box. They're approaching same type of the topics that are they come at it from different angles, and so kind of like really engaging. And if you think about it, if you look back to if you've been to college, you get kind of a lecture series. You get people coming through. I know at Florida State they used to bring people through the science department and give lectures, and they would always have it open, and you'd always just, hey, I'm going to go down and listen to that lecture for an hour, and then maybe talk with somebody about something, right? Or listen to the conversations. And it really feels like TED Talks are really nice college, one bite lectures on a very narrow topic.
Yeah, they're good. It'll be some researcher or scientist that's committed all their time to studying about one aspect of the way the brain works or something, and they'll talk on it. And for me, if I was going to go to a technical lecture, that gets kind of boring. But TED Talks are always really dynamic. I find myself always entertained.
I think
and learning a lot.
They also I think there's kind of a self-selection mechanism, because the TED lectures are always very expensive, I think, to attend in person. And, I think they cost money to attend in person, but the thing is they always select for really good speakers. And so they're always very engaging speakers. And I think that's where they kind of get their reputation from, is that they pull people who are not sitting at a lectern, reading off a script or, reading from a teleprompter. They have to be very engaging. They have their whole slides memorized. They're just clicking things and the slides are going on behind them. But it's really them as a performer. It's almost a performance aspect, which is really fun. I think if you have kids who want to learn something, it's best to get it from somebody who is a very good speaker and a very good deliverer of information, and you can get that on the TED Talks. Moving on beyond that, language learning. So
there's a couple of different really great channels for learning a language if you want to help your child do that. So Little Pim is $10 a month.
So they need to bring that price down.
Yeah, it's a little bit. Innovative Language is only $1 a month.
That'd be good.
So those are two. Little Pim, which really more Little Pim is geared more towards the really young learners, and I think that's why it's a bit more expensive. It's a bit more interactive and things. And just more engaging for younger learners, and language innovative language is a little bit older. But those are two great options to check out, and you can really take a look at those and see if you want your child to learn a language, but you can't afford to have a language tutor. It's nice that they could, if you could go on YouTube and say, okay, beginning Spanish and whatever, and somebody probably has lessons there, but it's great when you go on there and say, this is the course, and you start watching through the videos all in order. And it's
a lot of times on YouTube, if you find a channel, it's hard to get, like you've talked about this before, where you I want to learn piano, and it's hard to find a YouTube channel that has a playlist that says play, lesson 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, and that's kind of what you want. They kind of tend to be all over the place. So it is helpful to get a, if you're going to pay for something, you want it to be delivered to you in kind of like a natural learning progression.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm all about reading Spanish, right?
Right.
Like, you're not going to just kind of hop around and learn crazy Spanish stuff. But
yeah, well, and the other thing is, when you learn stuff on YouTube, sometimes it's like they're trying to sell you on a greater level course too.
Yeah, right,
so
yeah.
I like that this is a pretty low barrier to entry to pay for something. I mean, if you had a language tutor come into your house, it's a whole lot more than $10 a month. So, something to think about if you wanted to look at a language, and you can integrate it right into your TV. So.
Yep. So let's get in a little bit of advanced trips.
Yeah.
So this is the one. This is, guys.
Well, let's talk about the first one you already mentioned, which is...
No, I know. It's the casting of your screen to the Roku.
Yeah.
So for just in the technical...
Well, it's not really casting.
It's not casting. Yeah. So the term casting that you'll hear is where you are... The technical aspect of what's happening is that you're telling the Roku from an app to go get some information via the web. And the Roku then goes out to the web, pulls that information down, shows it on your TV. And a lot of times the app, if you're casting to the app, will turn into a different mode, say like YouTube.
Right. And
YouTube will then show you not the screen, but they'll show you some weird options based on being able to control what is being played on the television.
So this is where you would search on your phone for something on YouTube. You know, you're fast with your phone, whatever, you can search. Somebody sends you a text with, video to watch. You see something on YouTube or on Facebook, you click on it on your phone, and there's a little button in the top that looks like a little screen, couple little arches off of it. You click on that, and then you select your Roku, and boom, the YouTube video that was on your phone is now on your big screen.
But it's not streaming from your phone to the TV. The Roku is going out to the internet independently and pulling that video down. You can control what is being done there. Now, that's what they used to have.
And they still
have that. They still have that.
And it is super helpful.
But the new feature is the screen mirroring that is now available. So this was a feature if you have an iOS phone. Or
I think it probably works with Android as well.
It does.
I'm not sure what the mechanics are.
But if you have an Apple phone, you used to be able to do this, I think, on the Apple TV, where you can mirror your device onto your television, which means anything that's being shown on your screen is being shown on the television. And there is a little lag because it is casting what you're doing on your phone onto
Bluetooth, isn't it? Or no, it's going through the Wi-Fi.
I think it's going through the Wi-Fi.
Right.
And so if you're reading a book and you don't want to stare down at your screen, you can throw your screen up onto, the TV.
Or your iPad.
Or you show your iPad, or if you're writing your latest book and you can connect to the the TV, and you have an 80-inch television that you can start to use as a big monitor. Right. It's so amazingly powerful, and it's so easy. So all you have to do is open up iOS, and I don't know if it on the Android, but on the Apple phone and on the iPad. And we're talking about you don't have to do anything special to your phone. It's a built-in feature, and you can connect directly to the Roku. Yeah,
there's a little screen mirroring button.
Yeah, screen mirroring button, and it takes, I don't know, a few seconds, and boom, it pops right up.
It's very quick. One of the ways that we use this, just kind of so you can have an idea, our daughter was taking Zoom dance classes, and it was really difficult for her. We had an iPad, and we would kind of set it up on the back of a chair in the space that she would dance in the living room, and she, her teacher was real small on the iPad and stuff, but she felt like it was hard for our 5-year-old to really engage with that.
So then I've purchased a little HDMI to Lightning connector adapter where I was able to take the HDMI, plug it into the adapter, plug it into the Lightning port on the iPad, and it was able to cast onto the television. But that required a bunch of wires. It required this like $50 adapter, and it was very kludgy. And if you kind of wiggled the thing, if it didn't have a good connection, you lose connection. Now I'm able to just mirror the screen up onto the TV wirelessly, and she was able to look at her instructor, and she could see what the instructor was doing.
Right,
It
we
was
put
amazing.
the iPad just below the television so that the camera was pointing towards our daughter while she was dancing so the instructor could see her, but then our daughter could see her dance instructor on the huge screen. The level of engagement was so different.
It went through the roof.
So if you're doing any kind of like out school classes or anything with your homeschool charter, anything,
remote learning,
anything like that, it's a great way to just, really bring it to life is to put it on a larger screen. We've also done different things where we're doing different like learning apps on the iPad, for example. So let's say that our daughter is sitting on the couch and she's doing one of her reading apps and I'm trying to make dinner or I'm doing the dishes or something. If she's struggling with something, I can't see that, right? But if she has screen mirroring turned on, it's on the big TV, I can look at it and go, oh, and I can help her even from a distance because I can see what's going on. So there could be a lot of great uses for this.
Yeah, really the distance learning stuff. If your kid is doing kind of a Zoom class,
anything like that,
like musician, or if they're doing something like with the dance class thing that we were having to do, this just took the level of engagement through the roof. Now you can do this on your phone, you can do it on an iPad like we were doing. I'm almost certain you can do a very similar feature with Android. I don't know exactly what it is.
I'm not sure the mechanics, but I'm sure
on the Android
that you
side.
can.
But on the iOS, Apple, iPad, and I think the Mac computers all now support. I mean, Roku now supports the screen mirroring option for iOS devices, and I cannot tell you how cool of a feature it is. It is worth. I'm going to say this. It is worth buying a Roku just for that feature. If you want to turn your TV into a giant extension of your phone, of your iPad, or of your your laptop, and you have one of the Apple family devices, it is. I cannot tell you how cool of a feature it is. You do it one time, you're hooked. You're absolutely hooked. It is. There's a slight lag. So if you can't do it if you're doing anything that's performance related. But if you want somebody to watch what you're doing, like say you're playing a video game. I'm playing whatever, Age of Empires on my phone or something like that. And your friend's sitting next to you. You can both stare at you both can stare at the super small screen, or your friend can stare at the giant television and watch you play, and everybody can watch you play.
Yeah, it's been helpful. Like, we'll scroll on the iPad. There's some great, you go onto the NASA site, you can go on to National Geographic and looking up information about animals or Wikipedia or anything where you would sit and huddle over a screen together.
Or if Grandma and Grandpa come over and you want to flip through pictures that are on your phone. Cache your phone. Start swiping through your pictures.
We've done that with your folks a couple of times, and it's been really terrific. Yeah, anything where you would all huddle around some screen, a laptop screen or anything else, it's just a great way to put it up on the big screen.
Mirror it to your TV.
And involve everyone. And the lag that you're talking about, it's
very
very slight. Like you won't notice it, but it's been great. We've been doing research together as a couple about. Like, oh, how do we do this or that? And you're like, well, I'm seeing this one.
No, we've been building our bookcases,
right?
And
so it was like, oh,
we're watching.
I saw this idea for bookcases.
Yeah,
okay, and we
mirror the screen and we start looking
on the screen.
It's
great for collaboration.
Yeah, we find it to be a little bit better performance than if you're casting a video. Like if you're casting a video, there's a little bit of a delay there because it's got to connect, it's not got to play. But if you're mirroring your screen, you can just like hop right through it super fast. You don't have any of the kludgy app delays that happen when you're casting a video. It's really just one-to-one. It's whatever's happening on your screen is happening on the TV, and it's just, I think it's a better experience if you're just trying to like work together in a collaborative environment. Like when we were looking at the different videos on YouTube on how to put together these bookcases or something like that, it was just very enjoyable.
We're just so used to using mobile devices to find information and to navigate through that it's nice to have something that can make that larger and integrate with that, because I find that I'm faster on my phone.
We all
finding a YouTube video or something, I'm much faster scrolling through on my phone and getting to it than going with the remote, click, click, click to go over, and keep scrolling through videos and things. So sometimes it's really nice to hone down and find the information I want on my phone and then just send it up to the Roku so that we can enjoy it rather than going through another app and going around that way. It's just faster.
So now that we've gushed about Roku, let's end it the way we've always ended, which is something that we're into this week. So this week we are into the story orchestra books. So I don't know if we've talked about the Shakespeare book before. Have we?
I don't know if we've talked about it. I think it's called...
It's like the 12 Shakespeare stories or something like that.
There's a really great Shakespeare book that's made for young children.
Yeah, like each story, like they lead right off with Macbeth, right? And it's like 7 pages long.
Right. It's just it's like an abridged version of
Very
the story
abridged.
in more accessible language for kids.
It's just, think about it as like a kid's version of the story, like, but not taking away, like, killing King Duncan on the opening page.
Well,
like,
there's a lot of death in Shakespeare.
Yeah, there's a lot
of sex and death. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
So,
But it is like it's pretty cool. So it's the same book company made. We got
it has beautiful art.
Yeah, we got our oldest, the Swan Lake version.
Yeah,
of it.
she's got Swan Lake and the Nutcracker both.
But the Swan Lake one,
Sleeping Beauty. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the Sleeping Beauty and the Swan Lake. So the Swan Lake one, basically, as you open up the book, you turn to the first page and you can read the story of what's happening. Really cool, beautiful art. Kind of, I don't want to say cutout style or art.
It's really pretty.
It's really beautiful.
My daughter was engaged immediately.
Yeah, and then what happens is there's this really cool feature where they have this little music icon randomly put into the artwork, and you press it and it starts playing the Tchaikovsky song that fits that segment of Swan Lake. And then you flip to the next page and the button has moved to a new location, and you push that and it plays that song, and so on and so forth. So as you're reading the story, you're listening to the music behind it. And then when you get all the way to the end, it has a bio on Tchaikovsky, and it has all the songs, and you can see all the buttons that you were pressing through the pages.
And it tells you about what the name of each of the songs
Yeah,
is.
it's amazing. And Tchaikovsky was our composer of the week the other week, and we listened to Swan Lake. And it was very funny because my oldest has played with this book so much since Christmas that this one movement was playing, and she goes, oh, I know this. And she runs into the room, pulls out the book, comes running back, flips to page 4, smashes the button, and it's the exact same song.
Yeah, you were listening to it on like YouTube.
On YouTube,
or something.
yeah, we were on our Google Home, and
Okay.
I was like, oh yeah, play me Tchaikovsky's Swan Lake or whatever, and it started playing.
Yeah, she could actually recognize.
She recognized
it
from the book, and she would run over there, go get the thing.
It's great.
It was so cool, and she really loves it, and the music, and
it's a short selection of the music,
is,
but
it is.
It's like
what, like 10, 15, 20 seconds of the song?
Yeah, it's not super long. It's longer than I expected it to be,
It is,
but
yeah.
it's nice because it's a great retelling of the ballet. Making it more accessible for children, terrific artwork, and then incorporating the music. Our daughter was immediately engaged. Many times we have found the book open on the couch just so she can press the buttons and then dance for a few moments to the song, and then she'll go back and press another button. And even the little one, the baby, is into this book. So we've had to pick it up and get it out of her path of destruction because she loves to press the buttons and hear all the songs too. So it's been really engaging, and I love, there's a lot of books that music is integrated into, and usually it's kind of throwaway for me. It doesn't have a long shelf life, and this I feel like it really does, because it's telling the story, right?
And the music's so iconic, right?
Yeah, it is, and it has a purpose, I guess, is what I mean. Right there, we have other books, we have some Beauty and the Beast books and things that have buttons that they push, and it's like, okay, Belle says the same line over and over and over again. It doesn't really mean a whole lot.
Yeah.
Whereas this, as you listen to the music while you read those pages of what's happening,
It's very cool.
It really makes the story come alive. It's just beautiful.
It does, and then maybe one day you'll take her to a performance of it, and she'll have already recognized all that thing, and that kind of goes back to my theory around classic literature that, and I really hope that companies begin to produce more content like this, where I can read Macbeth to my 5-year-old or 4-year-old, and then I can go read in like a 7 or 8 page. It's just regular writing. It's not Shakespearean language or anything like that, but she gets the story. She's heard the story. And then maybe in like 4 or 5 years, she'll read something that's a little bit more elevated, but still simple, like, Roald Dahl level writing, of that story. And then maybe when we're a little bit older, we'll read a little bit more complex version. And then maybe when she's in high school, we'll actually dive into the actual text. And by then it'll be like the 4th or 5th time that she's gotten it. And she'll already appreciate the story. She'll already appreciate the literature. And it won't be the first time that she's heard it. And then, oh, I have to read iambic pentameter from, Shakespeare, blah, blah. It's terrible. I don't even understand what's happening. And then you hate it. Right.
Right.
But along the way now, she's getting iterations of it. And we talked about this in the Great Illustrated Classics, where we can read her a classic piece of literature. She'll, grok about 5% of it. And then a couple of years from now, we'll do it again and again and again. And then eventually she'll get, one day she'll sit down with me and we'll read Moby Dick together, and she'll already kind of understand the story, and I think she'll appreciate it more. Right. And these type of things where, Swan Lake, right? I mean, whatever, but it's going to be another book on the shelf, but they made it in such a way that I think it stands out as like a piece that you want to put higher on the shelf. Like all my Graham Base books are all high on the shelf because I don't want her to ruin those books because I think they're pieces of art. These are books that you put on the top shelf that you don't let just kind of like wander around, because these things are important. It's good literature. It's good, classic stuff. And it helps, I think, bring a lot of culture to them, right? It's not just the next Taylor Swift song, it's orchestra music. Right. Something different.
It's gotten her, I have to say, we got these for her for Christmas, and I really feel like she's gotten much more into classical music.
She has, yeah.
Since having these, she's starting to appreciate it more. And she said, "Oh, this song I heard over here on the Google Home, it was kind of like this part in the Sleeping Beauty story orchestra book." And she's making some connections and things that I don't think she would have, but tying the music to the story, it really helped it to come alive.
A lot of the composer work that we've been doing with Blossom and Root this year, we've added a few extras in there that, just kind of liven up and get different things. I think that has really been coming through with her. A lot of the movies she watches, a lot of the Disney scores are just amazing, and they're really entertaining and great, and they have a lot of emotion, and she kind of feels that, innately within her experience of just watching all these movies, and that classical music kind of just fits into that because that's just kind of the music that they use. And so I think getting that depth in there, she has enjoyed classical music a little bit more than like this week we've been listening to Miles Davis, right? Jazz, and it's been different, and you can tell that she like kind of like, wow, this is different. This is fun. It's kind of like jazzy, and I feel like I can dance to this. And so she's starting to experience different styles of music, and and with this is a great example of the classical music that just brings in that emotion. She can feel the emotion. Like when we had Wagner Week, my God, we were like all over the place on that one. It was just a lot of fun, right? To just experience some really grandiose music. So anyway,
and it's good too. I think it changes. There's a stigma that classical music is boring.
Yeah.
And right, nobody wants to listen to classical music, and so I think it's great so oftentimes you hear it without tying it to the story.
Yeah.
And a lot of classical music it's telling a story, and to put those together, I think helps get them off on the right foot when it comes to classical.
Yeah.
That it's
and the way these guys
it's not boring because it doesn't have words.
And the way these guys did the Swan Lake version, it elevates the book beyond just telling a children's version of the story. It elevates it to a new giving it that layered effect, and I think that's what makes it really special. So we hope you go out there, give it a check, check it out, try it at maybe check out the Shakespeare one. I'll put it in the show notes as well.
Yeah, put both of them in the show notes. Yeah, these are keeper books. They have a whole series of the story orchestra books. Our daughter is already pointing out to me the ones that we don't have and need to get. So they've been very popular in our household, and we plan to pull them out again when we study Russia Week in our Around the World Kinder studies. So kind of a nice way to pull them in for world studies. Thanks so much for joining us today and making us a part of your homeschool journey. Please engage with us on social media. Join our Homeschool Together podcast group on Facebook and find us at Homeschool Together Podcast on Instagram. We'd love to hear your feedback, questions, and recommendations. Until next time,
Happy homeschooling!